The battle for Gauteng's metro municipalities has never been higher. Major parties bracing themselves for coalition negotiations. And the smaller parties can expect to be courted as they emerge as possible kingmakers in the election. We're now joined by Masego Rahlaga, who's tracking all of that for us. And she was at a briefing with the IEC earlier this morning. Masego, what came out of that briefing?
Good morning, Tafuma. Well, there hasn't been a briefing this morning from the Gauteng Results Center. We actually have not been here for too long, but I just wanted to show you the results that we're seeing so far in the province. So what you're seeing over there is the overall results for the province. So far, 12% of the counting has been concluded here in Gauteng, the ANC leading at 34.3%, but the DA follows quite closely with 34.03%, and then the EFF is at almost 12% with 11.59%. That is in the Gauteng province. But if I had to tell you about the different metros, which we know have been very highly contested, particularly the city of Tshwane as well as the city of Johannesburg, we find that in the city of Tshwane so far, the DA is leading with 33%, Tafuma. The ANC is at 29%, and the EFF is third in that metro at 13%. In Johannesburg, actually, there's a small surprise. So the ANC leads there at 32%, followed by the DA with 28%, and Action SA, actually, the new kid on the block, is at 18%. So they are coming in third so far in the city of Johannesburg. And of course, in Ekurhuleni, the DA leading there at 37%, and they lead with quite a huge margin, Tafuma, because the ANC follows with 30%, and then the EFF third at 10.9%. So that's how the metros in the Gauteng province are looking so far, Tafuma. It's going to be quite interesting what's going to happen. Remember, in Gauteng, a lot of the big metros, actually all of the metros were a coalition government, more especially the city of Johannesburg and the city of Ekurhuleni. The city of Johannesburg was at some point under former Mayor Herman Mashaba when he was still representing the DA. So far, it seems as though he did enough for the people of Johannesburg to prove to them that he can do something for them, because if he's at 18% and his party is only a few months old, here in the city of Johannesburg, it tells you that voters, do go with that slogan that Action SA has, which says, bring back Mashaba. So it's going to be quite interesting in terms of the city of Johannesburg. I can tell you, Tafuma, with Action SA coming in third. But of course, everywhere else, the DA is leading. And I think probably in Gauteng, we'll see a coalition government continue in most of the metros.
Well, that's something that our analysts did predict, that Action SA could become kingmakers in the city of Johannesburg. So we're seeing that coming to fruition. Now, Masego, let's go back to yesterday. Any incidents at the polling stations that you know of? Anything that's got the parties riled up?
Well, Tafuma, yesterday it started off quite smoothly, but we did go to a certain area in the south of Johannesburg called Kibble Park, where we found that the IEC had run out of ballot papers there, and it was quite dramatic for a few minutes, because obviously residents were not happy about this, especially because the IEC in the beginning promised that it knows exactly how many people are voting at different wards and at different voting stations. They will have that exact number of ballot papers that they know are registered to go to that particular voting station. So we had residents having been told to wait for 45 minutes to an hour so that the IEC at that voting station could find the ballot papers. What we found out is that where they would usually pick up their ballot papers, it had also run out there. So they first had to figure out which polling stations around them have extra ballot papers. They were able to find, I think, about 800 at the time, but they were still expecting about 2,700 more people to go there and vote. So not really too many glitches in terms of what's happened around the city of Johannesburg. I mean, my colleague Tebogo Masilo and I went to Soweto, we went to Alexandra, we went to the southern suburbs, and there was not really much drama except those protests that we saw over the weekend. None of them happening on voting day in particular, but the residents of Soweto who are disputing that 1996 list for RDP homes did go march at Luthuli House, and they handed in a memorandum of demands, including the fact that they want their homes. They've been on this list since 1996. It's 25 years later, and they just don't understand how this list, how they are on this list, but they don't have homes. So they've asked the ANC to have an audit of that 1996 list. We know that this has been problematic, Tafuma, for the ANC for quite some time. So those residents marched to Luthuli House at the ANC headquarters in the city of Johannesburg, and they handed in their memorandum of demands. They were promised that they would have an answer within 30 days, and so they went back home to go cast their ballots.
All right, Masego Rahlaga is out at the ROC in Gauteng, where she says the city of Johannesburg hotly contested. When it comes to the city of Ekurhuleni, we're speaking to our analyst, Janyan Joubert. He's saying they're projecting a hung government there, with the ANC getting 40%, the DA getting 30%, and the EFF getting 14%.